DC Universe Online is a free-to-play MMORPG made by Daybreak Game Company. It is available on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. This game lets you create your own character, choosing your powers, weapon, and movement type, allowing you to make a unique hero or villain to fight alongside Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, the Joker, and Cersei. In this video, I'm going to go over the game as comprehensively and unbiasedly as I can in a pros and cons list to help you decide whether or not you think it's worth playing. Starting with the pros. This game still receives constant updates, typically having an episode, DCUO's name for content expansions, releasing roughly every 3 months. There's even a graphics overhaul and next-gen console release planned for sometime in 2023. DCUO also has one of the best outfit designers I've seen. Gear has styles attached to it, and when you equip a piece of gear with a new style, you unlock it on that character forever. You're able to switch between styles whenever you're not in combat, changing everything from your gloves to the individual color channels on a piece of gear. This helps result in some very unique combinations. Next, let's talk about the combat. DCUO has an action combat system that is very polished and feels pretty good to play. It is simplistic in nature, but that doesn't mean that it requires no skill whatsoever. You can use a mix of weapon attacks and power abilities to defeat your enemies in fun ways. However, when you reach the endgame, you'll quickly realize that you'll have to stick to one or the other to be competitive. One of DCUO's biggest draws is the story. Coming in with the power of the DC IP and being able to use some of comics' most loved storylines, the developers have a wealth of stories to choose from when making content. Pair that with a stellar voice cast featuring the likes of Will Wheaton, Kevin Conroy, Susan Eisenberg, and Mark Hamill, there's no shortage of talent for this fully voice-acted game. If you like dungeons and raiding, then you'll be happy to know this game has a massive amount of single player, 2-player, 4-player, and 8-player dungeons to go through, each dungeon being different from the last and most bosses having mechanics causing them to be just difficult enough to keep things interesting. This, however, leads into the first con. Despite getting content updates regularly, they typically consist of only an open world area with some daily and weekly quests, a 1 or 2 player dungeon, sometimes both, a 4-player dungeon, and typically 2 8-player dungeons, most of these having a more difficult elite variant. New types of content are rarely added, with developers choosing to add new systems or rework older systems instead. While the new systems and reworks of the older systems are usually pretty good, and the dungeons sufficiently different from each other, it could still get stale rather quickly. If all you like to do are dungeons, this likely sounds more like a pro than a con, but for everyone else, it's the unfortunate reality of the game. If you're a PvP player, you're not very well off either, as the game hasn't received an update to PvP in years and likely never will. Now PvP tends to be unbalanced. Despite that, there's still a decently sized and fairly active PvP community. PvE isn't much better. The majority of DC's quests tend to be variations on your basic faction kill quests, tending to make leveling somewhat boring. The boredom is only staved off by the story and decent combat, as NPCs often have voice lines that make you want to continue, or you frequently get new abilities that you want to try out. Now, nearing the end of this video, we need to address the biggest con the game has. It's monetization. The game is free to play with an optional subscription that provides some benefits. DCUO has 3 subscription tiers: free, premium, and legendary. Free being, as you'd expect, no benefits at all. Legendary being an active paid membership costing roughly $15 per month and having the most benefits. And lastly, Premium having less benefits than Legendary, but more than free. If you spent $10 on anything at any time, whether it be Premium currency or a Legendary membership, you are a Premium player. If you purchase a Legendary membership, once that membership expires, you'll go down to Premium instead of free. This system, in of itself, isn't bad. In fact, I think it's pretty good. However, this is not where the problem lies. The problem, like in most free-to-play MMOs, comes up whenever you take a look at the microtransaction shop. In this game, you can buy just about everything, with the exception of gear from the most recent 3 episodes with real money. Artifacts are one of the most important ways you can gain power in DCUO, and you can buy an artifact and everything required to get it to max level right after character creation. Half of the power types, the shield weapon, and the skiving movement mode are locked behind a paywall, costing you anywhere from $5 to $10 to unlock permanently. I, however, wouldn't recommend buying these unlocks, as Legendary players have access to all of them, and if you make a character during your Legendary time frame, you could still play that character even after dropping down to Premium. The game even features loot boxes in the form of time capsules that have skill points locked behind some of the achievements you can get by opening them. You don't need to spend any money, and you can play all content in the game without doing so, but farming up gear and artifacts is certainly going to take far longer for someone who is completely free to play. Overall, DC Universe Online is a solid game with good combat, great dungeons, and an amazing story, but its repetitive nature and pay-to-win cash shop spoils it to some degree. You can still get many hours of fun for free from this game before these things start to affect you, and with no upfront cost, I would say it really doesn't hurt to check out. But at the end of the day, that's for you to decide. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, leave a like, and if you didn't, well, not like they do much of anything at this point, but go ahead and leave a dislike.